everybody, how we doing? There we go. Holy crap, camera. Eesh. Been a little while since I did a freaking vlog. Holy crap. Okay, let's get some little bit of music in here. You should be able to hear this. Ideally. Just let me know. I am trying a new live control room for YouTube as well. I knew you'd love me. So, it is in beta form at the moment, so I'm just testing it out. Seems to be working a lot better. Who's this homeless dude again? Right, don't let me slap you. It's weird, because I always look to the chat to the right on my other monitor. But, it's strange. Okay. I'm gonna pop out chat. I can't do this. I keep looking over to the right. It's too strange for me. So you'll have to make do. Audio seems fine, no echo, that's good. Looks fluffy. I'm sure you're talking about my hair or my beard, one of them. But no, it has been a little while since... Turn this up. There we go. Has been a little while since we've done any kind of vlogs. Both nice. But yeah, I've got quite a bit of new things which have happened. Also, I do have cookies, so don't judge me. Let me get my stuff ready. But no, how are we all doing today? I know it's very early for some of us, and you're living your cat's home. Go for it. New to me. Okay, so I'm gonna look at the audio. Everything's fine. I'm also thinking of getting a better camera as well, because this one is as good as it is. It's a bit blurry, but thank you everybody for showing up this early. I know it's a bit unprecedented. I was gonna do another Witcher stream, but me being me, I decided otherwise. I thought the ID vlog. I don't even know when the last one was. It's been a while, I know that much. Holy frickin' phone, go away. I haven't went to bed yet, so I may crash any minute. Oh dear. Well, anyway, let's get on to it then. So, on the 29th of May, I think it was 29th of May, something like that. We actually scheduled an appointment with a psychiatrist, or my GP did. And we got basically finally diagnosed after about 6 years of trying, with dissociative identity disorder, which a lot of different doctors treated me for separate symptoms of DID, so like depression and like anxiety and panic attacks and things like that. So they never actually combined them all together until I started speaking to people with DID. So finally diagnosed. I'm waiting for a letter, and I actually rang up the receptionist or the psychiatrist, because it's been just over a week, I think, since the appointment. So I was just trying to get a follow-up on that and waiting for the letter. And we'll see about that. Is that just... yeah, it is. So, onwards and upwards by the look of it, hopefully. And hopefully they send it very soon. And I think it's just being able to have a letter right there in front of me is going to help me quite a lot. And like in terms of accepting and things like that. So... that is that. The other thing is I will be moving within this month, hopefully, to a new place. The current place where I am at the moment has been sold. It may take a month to maybe 3 months. It depends on how fast the buyers get it. So that is another thing, and my videos will be scarce after a month, I believe, but I'm going to try and do my best to keep, uploading and streaming. Yesterday, however, I was dissociating a lot throughout the day. My mind was just not here, and I literally could not stream, as it was so difficult. It really was. So I'm going to talk a bit about a bleeding effect, and I'll get into that in a bit more detail in a second. But I think it was yesterday or the day before, I had an argument with my alter, which did not end up well, and this kind of gives you a bit of I guess insight on how scary dissociative identity disorder, or it's called dissociative disorder in the UK, we don't call it identity disorder for some reason. I did not know that until I was told. So yeah, I got into an argument with my alter, who proceeded to take me out of work very early after I switched, and basically drove in the middle of nowhere, and I switched back in a field, which was so much fun. It really was. So, as terrifying as that sounds, it was even worse in person. So it was a bit of payback from my alter, but having that, I guess, unknowing where I am at that time, or any time when I switch, is very scary, as you can imagine. And there was a couple of other things I was going to mention, but I'm going to talk about the bleeding effect right now, and I experienced this a couple of times, and especially the other day. So I explained this to Ryan, I think it was yesterday in our call. So the bleeding effect is basically, say, you have to hold on a minute because I'm going to pull this forward. So imagine the mic as my unconscious. So this is when you've switched and you basically cannot feel, you can't see, and you know, all that. So I always explain it as being in a car, and I've explained it before in the stream. So basically, you know your destination, you know the time in which it would take you to get there, and what happens is halfway down the journey, this is when you switch. So somebody would take you out of the front seat and put you in the back seat, so you would still feel, you could still hear, and you can still see. And basically there's another third option, which is this part where you're unconscious, and you don't know what's going on, you can't see, you can't feel, and all that. So the bleeding effect is, in my perception of it and how it feels, is a blending effect. So in transition to switching, and it's like Dem is here, I'm here, and unconscious is here. So it's the moment in which you switch. And what happens is you can experience each other's emotions for a very short while, or for however the duration of the switching basically is. And during this time, say for example, if something was to really upset me and I started crying, for example, and the bleeding effect would then be in place, in which I would switch to Dem. And it's in this moment where it's basically like this, and the body still feels that sense of rush of that emotion. So when Dem would basically front, she'd be crying but cut off from that emotion, because they are not her emotions, but the body is still feeling that rush of emotion. So Dem would basically be crying, but it wouldn't be Dem. And that is the best way I can try and explain it to you, because it's such a weird kind of situation. However, going back to our little appointment on the 29th of May, I think I freaked out the doctor a little, and Yuri was present during the appointment, or partial of the appointment, in which I think she was partial in the first half of the appointment, as I was on a call and didn't really want to go through it alone other than Dem, but Dem wasn't really talking as much. I didn't actually switch during the appointment and kind of scared the psychiatrist, or shook him a little, or a phrase I used in front of Ryan, which he finds hilarious, is gobsmacked, in which she is very perceptive on either... See, when I enter a room, or Dem enters a room, she basically focuses on every little exit strategy, and she's very... I don't know, she's monotonous in the way that she can see or deal with certain situations. So she needs to make sure the system is safe. So she's always looking for a way out. However, the psychiatrist was a bit thrown back. Psychotic. Well, she's got all the symptoms, but we don't talk about that yet. So she was basically eyeing the doctor up, and basically she noticed like he had like loads of like these, and a hairbrush, yeah. The doctor said to me he had like some like soil or something on his trousers, because in the morning apparently he'd been like changing his tires or something like that, so he'd been on the ground, and she pointed it out straight away, and it scared him because he knew then there was something not quite right. It kind of confirmed what I had, because she was behaving completely different to how I was behaving when I first came in, and how I dealt with situations. And he basically said, look, we need to talk to you a bit more about this in future things. So that's what I'm going to be doing. It's given me a website to look up to, and I can self-refer myself into psychotherapy and things like that, and we'll go into that a bit more later, because I'm not really sure how that's going to go. What else did I get? Yeah, I am looking into helping of like daily things, and so if I had a plan of what my day would normally go, and I switched, basically I can't finish what I wanted to do. So I'm in the process of possibly getting a social worker, or basically someone who can make sure I get to my destinations and everything's fine. The other day, basically, where she took control and basically took me out of my comfort zone, really shook me up, and I thought, look, I need to at least get some kind of help, or some kind of like support, other than you guys as well. And I feel kind of blessed that you're all here to support me and help me through certain situations of this. I hope the video's going on. Yeah. This camera is terrible. I need a new camera. I'll have a look into it. But it's all seems to be rushing up very quickly. Everything seems to be kicking off as much as we look into talking about dissociative identity disorder, and like researching it a bit more. It is helping, but it's also bringing forth more than I bargained for. So I've been looking into like symptoms, and which I actually get, and we went through this with the psychiatrist as well. And there's different stages of like dissociation. I need a new charger for my overtime. The frick. So there's a few of these in which I get, and then there's some of these that I don't get. So one of them is memory loss. So every time I switch, we've got no recollection of what each other do. So there is amnesia. So I'm going to read off my phone and what the actual descriptions of it say, whilst I go through it and talk to you about it. So memory loss or amnesia of a certain time period, events, people and personal information. I do tend to lose track of time quite a lot. Then, for example, would take my day, and then throughout that day, I would not recall anything from when we switch back. A sense of being detached from yourself and your emotions. I do on occasion, however, I must say it comes hand in hand with this, that you get mood swings. I get mood swings quite a lot personally. So I go from one day as in like really happy, another day I could be really sad, or another day I can be really anxious or angry, and it goes on like that. It's not really something I can control. It goes hand in hand with switching and things like that. But I am looking into improving on that in the future. I will be discussing it with people within Discord and basically medical professionals, and I'm going to be looking into mental health organisations and possible charities in the future. I need a new hairbrush so bad. Good to keep it on target, Yuri. Yeah. Okay, so I lost mine. I haven't brushed it since Saturday. Oh, damn. Now looking at my hair was a mess. My hair always gets a freaking mess. I look like I've got an afro, especially if I go out in the wind. Jesus, I don't know how women do it. I mean, I've got glasses, so it's okay, but it's like a windscreen. I can see the hair flying past my freaking glasses. But what happened then? Okay, so a perception of the people and things around you as distorted and unreal. This I wouldn't say normally. No, it's fine. I wouldn't say normally things are distorted or like unreal in a sense. It's usually when I'm switching or the bleeding effect starts to take place. I will describe what happens with my glasses as well. What happens is through this bleeding effect we can both see through each other's eyes, and what happens is there's like a fluttering in our eyes. It's like, it feels like a heartbeat, but it's like your vision starts to shake, and everything seems to get blurry around the edges, but you can see clearly in the middle. That's what I get when it's like the bleeding effect, and it's a bit disorientating sometimes, but it comes and goes. It's not always like continuous. It's during that phase, so it does go. A blurred sense of identity, which is more than obvious. Significant stress or problems in your relationship, work, or other important areas of your life. It does have a great effect on my work, and stress, it depends on what the situation is. Say if I had a day plan and I switch, then the added stress afterwards would be quite significant, but I'm trying to work on that as well, and talking to people within Discord and other medical professionals about it as well. Okay, so inability to cope with emotional or professional stress. I would say yes, very clearly. Dem is very unsociable, but very... I'm just going to come out and say she's very manipulative in the way she speaks to people, and it can be very distressing for others as well, not only myself. Mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts and behaviours. Depression we have suffered with in the past, not so much now, we're doing it a lot better. We're working on it still. Let me put this down a little. There we go. We are still working on depression and things like that. As I said, mood swings with this come once in a while. Like now, I'm feeling really good. I'm really happy. I'm feeling great. Yesterday, however, because I was dissociating as well, I was sad, and it was literally through the entire day, from getting up at 5 o'clock to go to work basically till about 10 o'clock, and it was like continuous throughout the day, just feeling sad. But it's nothing I can change. It's like going through the motions, unfortunately. So like today, I'm very happy. I don't expect it to last for tomorrow, but we'll see how I feel tomorrow. Anxiety, I'd say yes. We've suffered with panic attacks before, and they were very strong panic attacks, and we also get them in certain situations. Say there's a conflict, which any kind of conflict, Dem basically switches and takes control. She's more of a protector than basically anything else, and she's very, I'm going to say she's a strong person, a strong-willed person, I should say. Suicidal thoughts, and I went into this with the psychiatrist as well. We have had suicidal thoughts in the past and actually tried to end our life. That was something which did happen. I took a knife to my wrists. This was a couple of years ago though. And what happened was Dem took control. I then switched back later on in the evening, or like close to the night I think it was, and I had no knives, which made cutting like pizza and things like that so much fun. But she did it to protect me, and I thank her for it. Things have improved. It's still scary, don't get me wrong, but it's still good. Progress is progress. So there are 3 major dissociative disorders, and I think, yeah, I've got all 3. There is one which I can't pronounce, so you'll have to just like hang on. So dissociative amnesia is what the first one. So I'm going to read them out in full, and if you think you've got these, just don't be afraid to either leave a comment and I'll try and message you back and try and give you the support in which I'm currently receiving, and who knows, we may even like learn something together. So the main symptom is memory loss. That's more severe than normal forgetfulness, and that can't be explained by a medical condition. You can't recall information about yourself or events and people in your life, especially from a traumatic time. So possibly when you're younger, but it's not. They usually say it's from like 7 to 9, like a younger childhood age, but it's not always a childish kind of age as well. So it can present itself in later life as well. Dissociative amnesia can be specific to events in a certain time, such as intense combat, or more rarely can involve complete loss of memory about yourself. It may sometimes involve travel or confused wandering away from your life. An episode of amnesia usually occurs suddenly and may last minutes, hours, or rarely months or years. So it is a slow process, and not every dissociative disorder is the same within different people. It's rare that each person basically has the same kind of disorder. The second one is dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. This disorder is characterized by switching to alternate identities. You may feel the presence of 2 or more people talking or living inside your head, and you may feel as though you're possessed by other identities. Each identity may have a unique name, personal history, and characteristics, including obvious differences in voice, gender, mannerisms, and even such physical qualities as the need for eyeglasses. And I'll explain that one in a minute after I've read this. So there are also differences in how familiar each identity is with the other. People with dissociative identity disorder typically also have dissociative amnesia and often have dissociative fugue. I think that's it. That's a word. I don't know. Fugue. I don't know what that is. But well, I don't know how to pronounce it. So what? So going back to the eyeglasses as well. Basically, I'm blind as a bat without my glasses. However, Dem, when she switches, does not need glasses at all. And the bleeding effect, which I experienced the other day, is I could actually see without my glasses, which is very strange and was a bit, disorienting. It was like, oh, I can see. And then next minute I couldn't. So it's strange on how, I guess, the mind works or how we process this. I'm not really sure. I need to learn a bit more about it and get into more detail. So, depersonalization, derealization, and disorder. This involves an ongoing of episodic sense of detachment, of being outside yourself. So when you don't have glasses on, can Dem see too, or just you since she's helping you to see? Dem is actually seeing through like she's doing the bleeding effect, and I can feel the switch basically coming now. So that's why I'm trying to hurry up a little. But she can help me to see. She has done it on multiple occasions, but it's usually between at the moment. So, observing your actions, feelings, thoughts, and self from a distance, as though watching a movie. Other people and things around you may feel detached and foggy or dreamlike. Time may be slowed down or sped up, and the world may seem unreal. You may experience depersonalization, derealization, or both. Symptoms which can be profoundly distressing may last over a few moments or come and go over many years. So, I have got all three, and I was actually told in great detail about what they are. But yeah, usually when I don't have to wear glasses and I can read very well, I can see particularly very well, it's a bleeding effect, so Dem can see as well. And it's disorienting because it's like my vision is skewed right now. It's very, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a throbbing in my eyes, and I can see very clearly, but she can see as well. And like the outside, as you can see clearly as you look forward, you can see like your vision here, but it's like pounding and like growing in and out. It's such a strange thing to experience, and yeah, that's how I can see right now. So, but yeah, if you have like any of these like symptoms or anything like that, and you basically need someone to talk to, we're always here, and we can always leave a message and talk to us about it. I find it basically fascinating, and like, because no one with this disorder has it the same way as another person does, which is really, really like unique for me. And unfortunately, the people with schizophrenia and the people with dissociative identity disorder is near enough the same percentage. However, DID or dissociative disorder is not as spoken or as well known as schizophrenia. When I was speaking to basically social workers and things like that over the phone, they didn't even really know where it was. When I spoke to the psychiatrist on the 29th, he had a basic idea of where it was, but not many people have either come forward and spoken to him about it, so he was a bit tossed on his head kind of thing. He didn't really know how to present it or even how to deal with it. All he knew was what he had read. So yeah, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream right here. Thank you everybody for being here today. I really do appreciate it. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Also leave a comment. I really do appreciate it, and I will try and get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, stay awesome guys. Bye.